Hello guys and welcome to Coding with Tom. So a friend of mine requested a website where there would be an input field and people could just type something into this input field, something that they got from a riddle, and the website was supposed to tell them if they got it right or wrong and display some information accordingly. I figured that this will be a great opportunity to show you guys, considering that it still follows the same logic as our two past videos. So it works a lot with input fields and getting information from our HTML and from our user and to just manipulate it. But at the same time it adds another component from JavaScript, which are the if statements. If statements are great for conditions, and we basically need conditions for this example, and in this case it also works as some sort of form validation, if you could think so as that way. So yeah, let's get right into it. I already have here some CSS, just some plain CSS, just to make everything look prettier. It really doesn't do anything. Everything that it is here is just accordingly to what we have here, and we're for all our alternate styling, we're just going to use our JavaScript. We're actually not going to do anything in our CSS. And for our HTML, we have just a plain container with our title here, our input field, our submit button, and then since I already know that I want to display a response for our user's input here, I have an h2 with the ID of info answer, and since I want to display an image once the user gets the password right, I want to also display it, so I already have an image here. Everything has an idea because I want to get all of these elements on our JavaScript. It's pretty much just easier to get so when we do it with ideas, and our image is just going to be a plain image like this. So the first thing that we need to do is to add an event listener to our button, and we already know how to do it since I'm sure you guys watched the past two videos, and it's just with the document dot get element by id. We can just grab the submit button here, our idea, and we want to add an event listener to it. Add event listener, and in this case it's going to be a click, and when it clicks we want something to happen, so we just type our function in front of it. Before we do any condition, we want to grab three things from here. I want to grab the value from our input field, I want to grab our h2, and I want to grab our image. Since we want to manipulate this information, and I really don't want to type every time I want to call for these elements, I don't want to type document.getElement by ID, whatever. I'm just going to define these three elements as variables. And for the first, it's going to be let. Can just type answer field, I guess it's going to be equal. I'm just going to copy this from here, so I don't have to type it every time. And since we want input field, I can just grab the ID from here, but we actually don't want just the element. We don't really want to manipulate the element. We want to manipulate the value from the element, so we can just do dot value. And for the other two, I'm just going to do Control C, Control V, and since we want to grab the info answer, and the info answer goes here, I'm going to remove the value from here and the value from here, and for our info image is going to be here. I can just state this variable as maybe response, I guess. And here it's going to be the response image. I guess that they aren't the best variable names, but I guess they work. This isn't correct what I said it here. Okay, so now for our conditions. For our conditions, it works really simple. We can just state as an if, where we type our condition here, and then what happens if the condition is complete, and we can just leave it at that. But since we want two different conditions, because we want something to happen when the user gets it wrong, we can also type an else. So for our if, let's just say that the correct answer is 1, 2, 3. So we know that we want whatever the user inputs here to be equal to 1, 2, 3. So let's grab the answer field. that it's going to be the value of that the user inserts, and just say that if the answer field is equal to 1, 2, 3, we want something to happen, and the first thing that we want to happen is going to be the response. It's going to start just the response is just going to be good job, you got it. And to do so, we can just grab our response, our variable response that is getting our element dot inner HTML, because we want to type it inside of it, and we can just do so and just type good job, you got it. And since I also want to style this response, I can just do response dot style dot color, and maybe just grab our color from above. There we go. And let's just see if it works. 1, 2, 3, and there we have it. But we also want to display our image, and at this point our image, even if it had a source, and I didn't put the source here because I don't want for the user, even if the user knows how to use the developer tools, I don't want him or her to get to the info that easy. We could just use the inspect tool to see if the source, the image, the source was defined for the image, and since we don't want to do so, we can just hide it, kind of hide it inside our JavaScript, and that will be another file that this user will need to open, and will just make things a little bit more complicated. So in this case, we want to also insert the source for our image with our JavaScript, and we can just do it with response image dot source equals, and in this case, since we want to use this image, I can just grab the link from here and put it here. And one more thing, of course, response image dot style dot display equals to block. Now let's see if everything is working correctly. 1, 2, 3, and there we have it. We got everything working, and you could just leave it at so, because even if you, let's just say that we don't have an else statement. If I type 3, it's going to be incorrect, so nothing is going to happen. We want to give some feedback to our user. We want to tell them that they're getting it wrong, that they need to try it some other way, because if I just find an input field and I just type 2, and if it doesn't work and I'm really sure that I got the answer right, I can just assume that the submit button really isn't working, and we don't want any kind of assumptions here. So we can just type an else here, and let's decide on what we want to do here. I'm pretty sure that we will also want to have a response here, and the response is going to be, you got it wrong, try it again. And we also want to style it, and just going to type it as red. I guess that would work. So if I type 1, 2, 3, everything is correct, but if I want to type 2, it's going to be incorrect. But since I'm really picky with these kind of things, as you can see, when I type the right answer and then I type the wrong answer, the image is still there, and I really don't want that to happen. So I can just grab our response image here and display it as none once again. So 1, 2, 3, correct. 2, incorrect, and the image is gone. And even if we do it as the wrong order, 2, it's going to be incorrect. 1, 2, 3, everything is going to work accordingly. And there you have it, guys. That's basically it. It's a really simple thing to do, but I think that it's really important to understand these concepts, to work properly with JavaScript, and these sort of things just amazes a lot of people, and it just helps you to get in touch with the code and to understand how the code works, and to be happy because you're actually starting to do new things and to be able to control what your friends are doing. And yeah, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. If you have any suggestions, just leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you want to keep seeing more tips and tricks and some other exercises. And as a homework, if you actually want it to try, you can just insert more 2 or 3 more input fields and make a just a complete form, just to make sure that everything corresponds to the expectations. So I hope you have enjoyed it, and yeah, until next time.